The Charlie Adelson case. This is going to be a longer video because there's a lot to unpack. Today's the second day of trial, and if you haven't heard about it, it's shaping up to be a good one if you like true crime. These are our players. Dan Markell and Wendy are married. They got 2 kids and they live in Tallahassee, Florida. Wendy decides she wants a divorce and leaves the marriage. Divorce gets nasty, like many divorces. They're arguing over custody, they're arguing over financial gain. Donna is Wendy's mom. She lives in South Florida. Harvey's her dad. Donna's upset she can't see the grandkids, who are toddlers. Wants Wendy and Dan to move to South Florida. Dan says because of his job he can't leave. He's a professor at a university. Mom makes a statement, I'll give you $1 million to commute back and forth if you move down here. Harvey built a business being a dentist. Apparently multiple locations, very successful. His son Charlie's also a dentist. And they do discounted procedures for cash. Why would anybody do that? Mom's overprotective and overbearing. But like any parent, she loves her kids, she loves her grandkids. She makes a wild statement to Wendy in an email. She says, our family will go to extremes. If you have to convert the grandkids to Christianity or dress them up in Nazi uniforms and march them around, do it to show him that you're in control. And that's wild because they're a Jewish family. You may have noticed the 3 people down here at the bottom. Charlie's a successful dentist. He's a single guy, and the prosecution's giving the impression that he dates skanks. The prosecution's allegation is, now follow me, Charlie's dating McBanall. At Mom's behest, Charlie hires, through McBanall, Garcia and Rivera to hit Markell. And they do. He's dead. Rivera pled guilty. Garcia was convicted. McBanall was found guilty recently. Wendy, Donna, and Harvey haven't been charged with anything. Yet. But Charlie is the defendant in this case. Wendy just took the stand, first witness. I said there was a lot to unpack. I didn't know anything about this case from about 2 hours ago. So I haven't watched the other trial yet to see what is evidence. But since Wendy's on the stand, I wanted to get this video out so you can start watching. First impressions. I've talked to hundreds of domestic violence victims. Many of them have the same doughish demeanor, like they've been bullied. That's kind of how Wendy strikes me. Could be wrong. She cited emotional abuse in the divorce, and she said everybody says Mom's overbearing. Now in my Twitter feed, a lot of people saying she's lying her tail off. But there are a few problem areas. She's putting on a clinic on eye movement, and the term did not. You can't always rely on those. But on tough questions, she answers with those, and they're different than her normal answers. This murder also happened 10 years ago. Keeping that in mind, here's some clips of her testimony. With the settlement from the divorce, she's trying to buy a house in Tallahassee to be close to her kids. She has a house lined up. Husband backs out of the settlement because he says she lied about a bunch of financial stuff. So now she can't buy the house. That'd be fairly traumatic. Even if it was 10 years ago, you'd probably remember. Her normal eye movement for questions has been up and to the left for questions she'd have no reason to lie about. When you're deceptive, some people's eyes change patterns because you're accessing a different part of your brain. Not memory, creativity.
And after pulling the plug on the house, there were some emails where you were saying you can't answer the phone, you're crying too hard about the house. Like you seem genuinely upset about pulling the plug on the house, but now you don't remember it?
Well, it's been 10 years,
Sure.
So a lot of terrible things have happened since then. It's hard to remember.
Don't recall.
I really liked the house and was excited about it, but it was more than I can afford at the time. That's what I remember, is talking with the real estate agent and having her say we'd find another house, and it wasn't the right one.
Would you have any reason to dispute that occurred on Halloween of 2013?
No, it probably did. I just don't remember.
So in one of the emails I cited, Mom says that she's a good actress, and she needs to put on a great performance for the divorce. I mention that because that might be true, and she could just be fooling me. So the hitmen were paid in stapled $1,000 bundles.
Large sums of cash.
Did you ever see stapled cash?
I never saw stapled cash.
Were you familiar with his practice of stapling cash together in stacks?
No, I never knew about that.
Was your brother Charlie protective of you?
I think when I was a little kid. Yeah.
What about as an adult?
As an adult? I mean, not particularly.
Is it fair to say that during the year or so leading up to the murder of Dan Markell that your brother did not like your ex?
I mean, I don't think he probably didn't like him, but I also think he didn't spend a lot of time thinking about him.
Did he ever like him?
Yeah, I mean, I think they got along fine.
Not for her, but the defendant. Unnecessary groom, pursed lips at the tough question, and a big drink of water.
Yes.
quote, it was always his joke. He said, I looked into hiring a hitman and it was cheaper to get you this TV. Is that what he said?
That was a joke that he made, yes.
And hiring the hitman, that was to kill Dan Markel, right? That was the joke.
That was the joke that he made in poor taste, yes.
Not to kill someone else.
No. Well, he never used his name.
That's an unfortunate joke, and probably not a coincidence.
Whether it's true or not true,
Okay. You have no knowledge of it.
I have no knowledge.
In all the years this has been pending,
In all of the years this has been pending,
your brother has known who killed your child's father, and you didn't know.
I did not know.
There's an uptick when she repeats the prosecutor, and once again, in a heavy area, she says did not.
After the murder, do you recall going to a dinner where you got sick at the table?
It was about a month later, and yes, I remember.
Where did that dinner occur? Was that here in Tallahassee or somewhere else?
No, it was in Miami.
All right. And was it like out at a restaurant?
It was at a restaurant.
All right. And when we say you got sick at the table, did you actually vomit at the table?
I threw up at the table.
All right. And did you ever hear your brother refer to that particular dinner as a celebratory dinner?
No,
Did you tell Jeffrey Lacoste that your brother called that a celebratory dinner?
I did not.
Was that a...
One moment, Ms. Keller.
Yes, sir.
Objection. Hearsay. Overruled.
Was that dinner a celebration of the murder of your ex-husband?
Absolutely not. That dinner was the first time I left my house after over a month because I was terrified. And if it was a celebration of anything, it was a celebration that I was willing to leave the house and eat a meal.
Do you know?
She uses that did not again, but she gets emotional at a good spot. If you get accused of some heinous stuff, an appropriate response is to get upset. So I don't know on that one. It could have just been she got sick from stress, and the stress could be because they told her.
Did you go to the crime scene or very near the crime scene on your way from your residence to, I guess, to lunch or to wherever you were going next?
No, I did not.
So you never turned on Trescott Drive that day?
I went to turn on Trescott Drive, but I saw that it had been blocked off by some tape, and so I just kept driving on Centerville.
Okay, and when you had to turn around.
That's a good example of did not. No, I didn't go to the murder scene because of the cops. And she really did, because notice she's using her hands to recreate what she saw.
And it couldn't turn, so I would have made like the kind of turn, like a K-turn, and kept going.
Was there a roadblock there with?
There was tape.
Yeah, and an officer was there?
I didn't see an officer, but I did see a car.
A law enforcement marked vehicle? Okay, did you have any contact with the officer?
No.
Okay. Did you do anything after that to try to find out what was going on down that roadway?
No, I just assumed it was weather, or maybe a tree fell.
Had there been bad weather that day?
No, but it was summertime, and there's electrical storms and trees fall, so that would have been pretty normal for summertime.
Where were your kids supposed to be at the time that you encountered that roadblock?
They would have been at school.
Here she uses didn't and no, and we know she's telling the truth. Are you super confident that you remember the weather 10 years ago on a specific day? Kids are at school. Why are you going by the house? Could just be an unfortunate circumstance. The tough part for me is I'm not asking the questions, and the attorneys only get to ask the question once they're answered. In an interrogation, I'd make note and we'd circle back. For me, there are some problem areas. She's a little bit of a tough read, but it looks bad. More to come in this trial, and I'll tell you what I think.